Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We can form group 9 the community as member is first, Eryana Putri U, second, Teguh Kiranto, third, Ardi Sekti Awan. I am presenting my resume on the research problem. The first matter I will submit is the research problem. Systematic research begins with a research problem. Selecting and formulating a problem is one of the most important aspects of doing research in any field. Thus, there is no way to do research until problem is reorganized, thought through, and articulate in useful way. In order to ask questions related to the research that research can answer, one should have knowledge or experience in an area. One should find a question that introduces him or her, and she will enjoy the search for a solution. The research process, the beginning. This is research problem. Okay, first, the general area of investigation. Second, a specific statement of the search question. And last, third, selected a problem area. After having chosen the general area of investigation, the research then narrows it down to specific statement of the research question. Once the researchers has selected a problem area and clearly articulated a question or statement, he or she has accomplished one of the most difficult phases of the research process. Search problem. As a matter of fact, there are no set rules for locating a problem. However, here are some suggestions at the source of problem. First, experience. Second, theories. Third, related literature. And last, fourth, non-education search. Experience. Among the most fearful sources for beginning research are their own experience. Educational practitioners in this age of accountability in education, teachers want to know if programs and practices they use are the most effective. Moreover, teachers have intuition of hunches about new relationship or why certain things in school happen the way they do, or a high school teacher might have a question about strategies to improve the achievement at risk student, and many other questions related to problem occurred during teaching and learning process. Research can provide the answer to such questions. Theories. A theory might be defined as a set of interrelated statements, principles, and propositions that specify the relationship among variables. However, not all theories are equally useful to a beginning research. These are some of the characteristics of good theory for a research study. Okay, first, an essential characteristic of a good theory is that it is testable. Second, a good theory is not only testable but also falsifiable. Third, a good theory deals with some significant phenomenon or behavior that needs explanation, such as learning or motivation. Fourth, a good theory provides the simplest, clearest, and most plausible explanation for the phenomenon. And last, fifth, A good theory has internal consistency, its propositions do not contradict on one another. Related literature. The published literature in our area on interest in another valuable source of problem. In published research, we will find examples of research problems and the methods used to solve them. A review of related literature may help in the following ways. 1. We may find a study that needs to be repetitive. We can repeat someone else's study not exactly but with some variations, such as using a different age group, different setting, or a different methodology, as studies are repeated at different time and different places with the finding support in each study. We can have increasing confidence in the significity, validity of the findings. 2. We magnify a question that represents the next logical step in the research on a problem. The outcomes of one piece of research very often lead to new questions. A productive way to extend studies is to introduce new variables into research design for future control and for determining intersection effect among variables. In conclusion, published research can be a great source of ideas for research with some critical analysis of the research in your field. In a bit of creativity, you should be able to find several potentially researchable problems. Reading research will be also help you by showing how previous research measure variable, selected sample, analysis data, and so on. Okay, at last, non-education search. We can adapting theories of procedure encounter in other fields to apply to education. Often movements that origins outside of profession lead people to new paths of research. For instance, the women movement has led research to study gender stereotyping in the educational material, the influence of school on the learning of sex roles, gender difference in achievement and personality, and so forth. Okay, the material that follows will explained by Teguh Kiranto. Time and place.
Thank you for the time to me, Erin. Hello, I am Teguh Kiranto. I want to explain the next material to our group presentation. Alright, the next material is evaluating the problem of the research. The following are criteria that one can use to evaluate a research problem. The number one is the problem should have significance. The problem may fill in the gap in the current knowledge or help resolve some of the inconsistent previous research. You should to be able to answer the question with respect to your proper study. Number two is the problem should be one that will lead to new problem. A good study, while arriving at the answer that one question, usually generate a number of other questions that need investigation. Avoid trivial problems that have little or no relationship to theory or previous research. We suggest that a beginning research consider selecting a problem that could possibly be expected for follow-up later in a master thesis or even a doctoral dissertation. Number 3 is the problem must be researchable. Although this, although this criterion would seem self-evident, in practice, many purpose problems are not researchable. A researchable problem is one that can be attacked by empirically. That is, it is possible to gather data that the answer question. Many interesting questions in education cannot be answered by scientific research. The number 4 is the problem should be suitable for the researcher. The problem may be excellent from the standpoint of the previous criteria, but inappropriate for the individual. First, the problem should be one in which you, the researcher, have a genuine interest and about which you can be enthusiastic and to have a genuine interest and about which you can be enthusiastic. It should be a problem whose solution is personally important because of what it could contribute to your own knowledge or to improving your performance as an educational practitioner. In adapting to interest, one must have the necessary research skill to carry the study through to the completion. One may have to develop and validate instrument or do complex statistical analysis. Another consideration is whether you will have access to participants and the data necessary to answer the research question. The last number is number 5 is the problem should be ethically appropriate. That is, the problem should be one that you can investigate without violating ethical principles. Unlike researchers in the physical science, educational researchers are dealing with human subjects with feeling. Researchers are dealing with human subjects with feelings, sensitivities, and right who must be treated ethically. Most educational researchers are interested in group data rather than individual response. The scores of responses of individuals are generally pooled and reported as group average, which tend to minimize the risk of invading privacy. Alright, the next material is stating the research problem. The statement of the problem varies according to the type of research. Thus, we consider quantitative and qualitative research statements separately. The first is the problem statement in quantitative research. The problem statement in quantitative research specifies the variables and the population of interest. The problem can be further clarified by operationally defining the variable involved. In the previous example, you might specify what computer simulation will be used, how science achievement will be measured, and how the sample of middle school students will be selected. The number second is The problem statement in qualitative research. Qualitative researchers also begin with a problem, but they state it much more broadly than in quantitative research. A quantitative problem statement or question indicates the general purpose of the study. Formulation of a qualitative problem begins with the identification of a general topic or an area you want to know more about. In quantitative research, the statement may be somewhat general in the beginning, but it will become more focused as the study process. After exploring the site, the people, and the situation, the researchers narrowed the option and state the research problem more specifically. Alright, until here the material that I can explain. And the next material will be explained by Ardi. And Ardi, time and place is for you.
Okay, thank you for the occasion. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ardi Awan, and I will continue my group presentation. And in this video, I will identifying population. Sorry, I will explain identifying population and variable. Okay, a good strategy for shaping a felt problem or vague notion of what you want it to investigate into research. A researchable problem is to think in terms of population and variable. For example, let us consider Mrs. Burke, an elementary school principal whose question is, does individual tutoring by upper grade students have a positive effect on the reading achievement of younger below average readers? Individual tutoring can be made into a variable by varying the type of tutoring used, varying the amount of tutoring time, or having some children receive the tutoring and other not receive tutoring. Mrs. Burke decides that the last alternative concerns what she really wants to know. So she writes the relevant part of the question to does receiving a specified amount of individual tutoring versus no tutoring. Thus, tutoring in is the depend independent variable because it is attention to reading achievement, and the principle is predicting that tutoring will have an effect on reading achievement, the dependent variable. She knows it has an effect on word flash recall, but she wants to study its effect on other aspects of reading behavior that might be observed. Expressive oral reading, silent reading, positive feeling toward reading, number of book read, comprehension, and so forth. Mrs. Brooke revised statement of the problem now read among below average second grade reader is there difference in CIT reading scores between those who have received 15 minutes per day of individual word flash drill by upper grade students and those who have received no word drill. This question tells whom she is studying, what will be done differently for some students, and what she expects differential treatment to influence. It is often useful to follow that procedure in a formal manner similar to use diagramming a sentence. You can begin by drawing a vertical line and writing population to the left and variable to the right. Then list this element in the study below the horizontal line. For press, pressing, preceding example, the diagram will be as follow. Let us take another question. What is the effect having experience versus not having experienced a preschool program on the reading achievement of first grade? This question is complete in that has an identified population and both independent and dependent variable because preschool program preset reading achievement of first grade. The former can be identified as independent variable and the latter as the dependent variable. And let us look at the another example. Does high school travel education do any good? As it stands, the question has neither a population nor variable. What effect what what effect might having versus not having driver education have on 18 years old driver? Let's say you decide that accident rate will be suitable depend variable. Putting this element into diagram, you now have the following. You can now state complete question. Do 18 years old driver who have had high school driver education have lower accident rate than 18 years old driver who have not had high school driver education? The question is the question what relationship doc, dogmatism to political attitudes among college freshmen illustrate another point. Consider this diagram. This question is complete with population to variable. However, you cannot label the variable as independent and dependent because it cannot be determined which is attend to other. If you conduct a study to investigate status quo rather than relationship between variable, it may be complete with only one variable. For example, you make study the opinion of colleagues senior concerning regulation of marijuana. In this case, the population is colleague senior and the variable is their opinion on the subjects. Okay, that's all from group 9. Uh, we are sorry if any mistake. Thank you for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.